What if I told you that Amish families maintain productive gardens with 60 to 75% less labor than conventional methods? That their systems reduce annual maintenance from 200 hours to just 40 hours while increasing yields? Traditional low work design refined over 300 years proves gardens can almost run themselves. And today I'm going to show you exactly how. The permanent bed system. One-time construction of permanent raised beds lasts 20 to 30 years, eliminating annual reconstruction work. Beds measure 3 to 4 feet wide, and any length with permanent paths between 12 to 18 inches wide. No annual tilling or bed reformation saves 10 plus hours yearly. Soil improves every year without disturbance as biology builds structure naturally. Walk only on paths, never on growing beds, preventing compaction. Materials include wood, stone, or simply mounded soil shaped permanently. Result delivers zero annual bed preparation work after initial setup year, with beds becoming more productive as years pass. The thick mulch layer strategy. 4 to 6 inches of organic mulch applied once yearly suppresses 90% of weeds automatically while retaining moisture, reducing watering needs 50 to 70%. Materials include straw, leaves, wood chips, and grass clippings available free or cheap locally. Application takes just 2 to 3 hours annually in early spring or late fall. This eliminates 30 to 40 hours of weeding throughout the growing season. Mulch decomposes, gradually building soil fertility as organic matter increases yearly. Result creates nearly weed-free self-watering beds requiring minimal intervention throughout the entire season with compounding benefits over time. Perennial vegetable foundation. Plant perennial vegetables once and harvest for 10 to 20 plus years without replanting annually. Crops include asparagus, rhubarb, artichokes, and perennial onions, providing reliable harvest. Zero replanting or reseeding eliminates annual labor completely for these crops. Minimal care requires only annual mulching around established plants. Dedicated garden sections house perennials permanently in the same locations. First harvest occurs year 2 to 3 after planting, then continuous production for decades. Maintenance total is just 5 to 10 hours annually across all perennial crops. Result provides permanent food sources requiring almost no ongoing work after establishment period completes. Self-seeding annual integration. Allow specific annual crops to drop seeds so volunteers return automatically every year. Lettuce, arugula, cilantro, dill, and calendula reseed prolifically without intervention. Thin volunteers to proper spacing in spring for organized rows. Free seeds eliminate annual purchasing costs completely. Harvest what you need while allowing some plants to flower and set seed. Management requires just 2 to 3 hours per season for thinning and organization. Result creates a garden that plants itself with minimal human intervention, providing automatic succession as seeds germinate in waves throughout the growing season naturally. Automated watering systems. Drip irrigation or soaker hoses installed once provide automatic watering for years. Timer controls the watering schedule, eliminating daily hand watering completely. Water delivers directly to plant roots, improving efficiency dramatically. Reduces water consumption 50% versus overhead sprinkler watering. Installation requires one weekend project initially. Cost ranges $50 to $150 for average garden size. Maintenance needs minimal annual checking for leaks or clogs. Result delivers completely hands-off watering where turning a valve or setting a timer replaces hours of daily watering labor throughout the entire growing season for years after initial installation. The no-till soil building system. Never disturbing established soil structure after initial setup creates self-improving soil requiring minimal intervention. Year 1 involves initial setup using tilling or double digging breaking compaction one final time. Year 2 through 3 shows soil stabilizing as biology establishes, including earthworms, beneficial fungi, and bacterial communities. Year 4 through 5 brings dramatic structure improvement as worm populations explode. Year 5 and beyond creates self-maintaining soil requiring minimal input. Surface composting method adds 2 to 3 inches of compost in fall or spring without ever tilling or turning soil. Worms in soil biology incorporate materials naturally mimicking forest floor, where leaves decompose without mechanical disturbance. The system saves massive labor through multiple pathways. No annual tilling saves 10 to 20 hours yearly of heavy physical work. No equipment needed eliminates tiller purchase, fuel costs, and maintenance expenses. Weeds decrease yearly as soil seed bank depletes without tillage, bringing buried seeds to surface. Biological activity increases dramatically in undisturbed soil. Earthworm populations can reach 500,000 plus per acre in healthy no-till systems. Beneficial fungi networks called mycorrhizae develop extending root systems. Soil aggregates form naturally holding water and nutrients better than tilled soil. Traditional Amish practice follows the principle feed the soil, not the plant, through surface applications. Broad fork usage provides occasional aeration without inverting soil layers. Surface applications of all amendments protect soil structure. Permanent beds never get reconstructed after initial establishment. Labor comparison shows traditional gardening requires spring tilling 4 hours plus fall tilling. 4 hours totaling 8 hours yearly. No-till approach needs only compost spreading 2 hours yearly. Savings total 6 hours annually plus all equipment costs eliminated. Implementation steps begin with year 1 final deep tillage preparing beds properly. Add 4 to 6 inches of compost or aged manure. Shape beds with slightly raised centers. Define permanent paths clearly. Never walk on growing beds from this point forward. Ongoing maintenance becomes minimal after establishment. Annual compost top dressing maintains fertility. Broad fork only if compaction occurs, which is rare. Total time investment drops to just 2 to 3 hours annually for complete bed maintenance. Zone planting system. Organizing garden into 4 zones by maintenance needs minimizes trips and labor while ensuring each crop gets appropriate attention. Zone 1 as kitchen garden sits 20 to 50 feet from kitchen door, enabling daily harvest access. Zone 2, main garden locates 100 to 200 feet away, receiving 2 to 3 visits weekly. Zone 3 field crops occupy areas beyond main garden, needing only weekly visits. Zone 4, perennials position at garden edges requiring seasonal harvest only. Zone 1 intensive area ranges 100 to 400 square feet for high-value crops. Crops include herbs, salad greens, cherry tomatoes, and peppers harvested multiple times daily. Succession planting provides continuous supply throughout season. Zone 2, main production occupies most garden space growing bulk crops. Tomatoes, beans, carrots, onions, and squash produce majority of food volume. Access happens during 2 to 3 scheduled visits weekly for efficient batch work. This zone feeds family through preservation and storage. Zone 3 field crops use separate area beyond main garden. Potatoes, winter squash, corn, and dry beans grow in large quantities. Access during active growth requires weekly visits, becoming less frequent at maturity. Harvest happens once or twice seasonally for each crop. Zone 4 perennial edges occupy garden perimeter. Asparagus, rhubarb, berries, and perennial herbs require access only during harvest season. Maintenance needs only annual mulch application. Zero replanting eliminates ongoing labor completely. Water grouping within zones improves efficiency dramatically. High water crops including tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and lettuce group together. The medium water areas contain beans, peas, and brassicas, Low-water sections host squash and melons, whose deep roots access subsoil moisture. Labor efficiency gains come from concentrated effort versus scattered wandering through garden. Batch tasks by location reducing transition time significantly. Unnecessary trips decrease by 50 to 70% through strategic planning. Traditional Amish assignments divide labor by proximity and frequency. Women manage kitchen garden close to house. Family handles main garden through scheduled work sessions. Men and older children manage field crops requiring seasonal heavy work. Companion planting system. Succession planting spreads work throughout season, preventing overwhelming peaks and valleys in labor demands. Small plantings every 2 to 3 weeks replace massive one-time sowings that create crushing harvest gluts. Example shows 10 feet of beans planted every 2 weeks versus 50 feet planted at once, creating more even workload. Labor smoothing benefits transform gardening from exhausting to sustainable. Planting takes 30 minutes every 2 weeks, feeling easy and manageable. Harvest delivers daily small amounts that processing handles immediately. Processing requires 1 hour weekly versus 12-hour weekend marathons. Key crops for succession include lettuce planted every 2 weeks from spring through fall. Radishes sown every week mature in just 25 days for continuous supply. Beans in 3 separate plantings deliver continuous harvest for months. Carrots seeded every 3 weeks provide range of sizes from baby to full. Companion planting reduces work through natural pest control, space efficiency, nutrient sharing, and mutual support. Fewer pest interventions needed when plants protect each other naturally. More food per square foot increases productivity without additional space. Proven Amish combinations include 3 sisters of corn, beans, and squash adapted from Native American practice. Tomatoes with basil and marigolds provide pest control while improving flavor. Carrots with onions create pest confusion, reducing damage significantly. Companion benefits show documented results from traditional observation. Marigolds reduce aphid populations by 40 to 60% through repellent compounds. Basil improves tomato flavor while repelling flies. Onions confuse carrot fly, reducing damage by 80% through scent masking. Interplanting for efficiency combines fast with slow-growing crops. Radishes with carrots provide markers and early harvest before carrots mature. Tall with short pears, corn with lettuce providing beneficial shade. Planning calendar system organizes succession for minimal mental load. Winter planning map succession schedule for entire season ahead. Mark planting dates on calendar, creating automatic reminders. Labor comparison shows traditional approach plants all lettuce 1 day, taking 2 hours. Succession approach plants 10 minutes every 2 weeks, totaling 80 minutes across season. Result demonstrates less total work, producing significantly better results. The cover crop. Never leaving soil bare prevents 80 to 90% of weed germination while protecting from erosion and compaction. Cover crops build organic matter continuously throughout off-season. The system works even when gardener isn't actively working. Winter cover crop system plants in August through October immediately after summer harvest. Growth occurs through fall establishment, winter dormancy, then vigorous spring growth. Termination happens late April through early May before summer crop planting. Results show soil covered 7 to 8 months, suppressing weeds completely. Amish winter mix combines proven species in specific ratios. 40% winter rye provides deep roots and massive biomass production. 30% hairy vetch fixes nitrogen while remaining winter hardy. 20% crimson clover adds nitrogen fixation plus early spring pollinator food. 10% radish or turnip breaks hardpan, then dies over winter, leaving channels. Self-seeding cover crops eliminate annual replanting work completely. Winter rye reseeds if allowed to flower, creating permanent coverage. Crimson clover returns annually, providing beautiful flowers plus function. White Dutch clover establishes as permanent living mulch, requiring no replanting ever. Living mulch approach establishes low-growing clover between vegetable rows permanently. Year-round weed suppression eliminates seasonal weeding completely. Continuous nitrogen fixation improves soil fertility without purchased inputs. Mowing prevents competition with main crops while maintaining coverage. Summer cover crops fill gaps between spring and fall plantings. Buckwheat completes 6 to 8 week cycle fitting between crops perfectly. Dense growth smothers summer annual weeds aggressively. Abundant flowers attract pollinators, benefiting entire garden. Termination methods require minimal work compared to benefit. Mowing proves simplest working for most cover crop species. Crimping or rolling kills plants without soil incorporation for pure no-till systems. Letting chickens eat cover crops combines animal labor with termination. Labor savings documentation shows traditional weeding requires 40 to 60 hours per season. Cover crop system needs 2 hours planting, plus 1 hour termination, totaling just 3 hours. Savings reach 37 to 57 hours annually, representing massive labor reduction. Nitrogen contribution value shows legume cover crops adding 100 to 200 pounds of nitrogen per acre. Equivalent value equals $50 to $100 worth of synthetic fertilizer replaced. Multi-year impact compounds over time progressively. Year 1 achieves 50% weed reduction as system establishes. Year 2 reaches 70% reduction with depleting seed bank. Year 3 and beyond maintains 90% suppression as buried seeds exhaust viability. Traditional Amish principle states, bare soil is dying soil, requiring constant coverage. Always something growing protects and improves earth. Soil builds continuously, never degrading under proper management. The animal integration system. Animals function as living workers, transforming crop waste into valuable fertilizer while controlling pests automatically. Natural behaviors till and aerate soil without human effort or equipment. Animals provide food including eggs and meat in addition to garden labor. The chicken tractor system uses mobile pens moved daily across garden areas. Chickens eagerly eat beetle larvae, caterpillars, and weed seeds, reducing pest pressure. Nitrogen-rich manure deposits while scratching aerates and incorporates materials naturally. Daily movement prevents overgrazing and excessive manure concentration. Pre-planting deployment runs chickens through beds 2 to 3 weeks before planting. Sanitization removes overwintered pests and larvae from soil. Weed seed consumption reduces germination pressure for the coming season. Any manure application fertilizes beds naturally without purchased inputs. Post-harvest deployment cleans crop residues after harvest completes. Chickens process plant material into fine particles, accelerating decomposition. Fertilization for the next crop happens automatically through manure deposits. Labor replacement calculation shows chickens performing pest control, fertilizing, tilling, and weed control. Human time saved totals 20 to 30 hours per season across these tasks. Bonus fresh eggs daily add significant value beyond garden labor. The horse manure system provides massive fertility for larger operations. Horses produce 50 pounds of manure daily per animal consistently. 2 horses generate 18 tons annually, creating a huge nutrient source. Composted 6 to 12 months before garden use ensures safety and stability. Bedding adds essential carbon balancing nitrogen and manure perfectly. 3-bin composting creates automatic continuous supply without gaps. Bin 1 receives fresh manure plus bedding with daily additions. Bin 2 holds actively composting material 6 months old turned weekly. Bin 3 contains finished aged compost, ready for immediate garden use. Labor requires just 30 minutes weekly for turning an active pile. Small-scale integration works even without large animals. 3 to 5 chickens provide significant benefit for small gardens. Rabbit manure as cold manure needs no aging before garden application. Source aged horse manure locally from stables if keeping animals isn't possible. Rotational benefits cycle through seasons efficiently. Spring deployment prepares beds before planting season. Summer control keeps chickens away from growing crops. Fall cleanup processes residues after harvest completes. Winter aging allows manure to cure in bins safely. Traditional Amish principle maintains every farm has multiple animal species. Horses, chickens, and often cattle provide diverse inputs. Nothing wastes as everything cycles through the system. Animal manure forms the foundation of fertility for generations, creating truly sustainable system that works with nature. The Amish low-work garden system reduces labor by 60 to 75% through intelligent integrated design. Setup year requires investment of 80 to 100 hours establishing permanent infrastructure and systems. Years 2 and beyond drop dramatically to 40 to 60 hours annually versus 150 to 200 hours traditional gardening demands. 10 integrated systems work together synergistically, multiplying benefits beyond individual components. Permanent infrastructure eliminates repetitive annual work that exhausts conventional gardening.